Hello and welcome to the OCVarsity Gridiron Show. I am your host, Jonathan Khamis. To my left, Dan Albano. To my right, Steve Fryer. Guys, we are coming off the CIF championship games, and I thought they were pretty exciting. Down the line, we had some great games. We'll talk about that as we move on with the show. But guys, first off, we're going to talk about the first round, or CIF state, SoCal regional, whatever you want to call it. But we have a number of county schools in there, 4 to be exact. And we'll start off with the highest division that we got. That's Mission Viejo, the undefeated Diablos. They will be taking on Helix. Now, this is a home game for the Diablos, Friday night, 7:30 start. Last week, guys, the Diablos beat Vista Murrieta 21-14 for the West Valley Championship. This was their second consecutive CIF championship and 26 straight victories. Dan, 8 CIF titles, 6 under Bob Johnson. Your take on the championship for Mission Viejo last week?
That was a tough game for Mission Viejo. Vista Murrieta is a good team, and that's tough for Mission Viejo because they were on the road. Vista Murrieta's fans were really into it. They were loud. That was not a neutral, obviously no neutral site. So that was a tough game. Brock Johnson was under tremendous duress from the very beginning of that game, but it was Colin Schooler who put that, had the last 12 carries of the game that helped him seal the victory. And his brother, Brendan Schooler, made a diving, spectacular interception that set the table for his brother to take over. So that was a tough, well-earned victory by Mission. They really had to earn that one.
But as for this week, they're taking on Helix. Steve, a little homework I did here on Helix. They've won 11 games in a row. They beat St. Augustine last week for the Open Division Championship in that San Diego section. Their only loss was a game at Arizona. Their main rusher, Nathan Stinson, he has 31 rushing touchdowns on the year, so the Diablos will need to target him. Steve, what's your take going into the SoCal Regional?
I think the Diablos are set up pretty good for this. I talked to Coach Johnson over the weekend, and he thinks the personality of this team is such that they'll get it going again. Sometimes, especially in basketball, because we've had regionals and basketballs for quite some time, after a team has won the Southern Section Championships, they kind of like, okay, that's it, we're satisfied. And then the regionals, little harder to get it cranked up again for the regionals. It's been a long season, just like it has for these football players. This is going to be their 15th game this weekend coming up. So, but Coach Johnson said, yeah, he thinks the personality of his team, very mature group. They're excited. They like playing with each other and for each other and all that. So he thinks the team's going to be good to go to play Helix.
Also watch out for Helix defender junior Ezekiel Noah. He has 9.5 sacks this season. Guys, we'll transition now to the Division II AA game, where we will see the Highlanders of La Habra take on Camarillo. But first, what an epic CIF championship game we had last Friday night with La Habra and San Clemente. Dan, your take on that game before I send it to Steve, because he was there and we still can't believe it.
When I first read the reports coming out of the game, he's like, Eric threw another game-winning Hail Mary, because I was fortunate enough to be at the first one against Los Al. I really think Eric, he solidified himself as a county legend. To have 2 game-winning Hail Marys, including one in the CIF finals, amazing. That guy's just such a competitor. Mazzotta said, as long as that guy's scrambling, you have a chance. Are you telling me we have a chance?
Yeah.
La Habra always has a chance with Eric.
Especially when he goes 15 of 16 passing and 5 total touchdowns. Steve, we're still in shock over that victory. Can you describe anything like that as far as being on that field? I mean, there was shock, there was awe, there was everything.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. What a tough way for San Clemente to lose. They did everything very well in that game. Gosh, the quarterback, Jack Sears, rushed for 144 yards. Vlad D, he ran for, 129 yards, something like that, and also played.
They outrushed La Habra.
Yeah, they were by a
wide margin.
But, and what's interesting, the 2 things I always look for when I evaluate football teams, fellas, is team speed on defense and how physical you are in the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter of that game, that La Habra offensive line took over that game. They were getting 12 yards. Taylor rushing for 9 yards, 12 yards, second and short, and all kinds of really good situations for them.
It was crazy. All right, but their opponent is Camarillo, and Camarillo beat Thousand Oaks last week to win the CIF Northern Division Championship. Quarterback Jake Constantine, he has 42 touchdown passes on the year, only a couple of interceptions, 5 to be exact. Running back Isaiah Otis has 23 touchdowns. Meanwhile, wide receiver Francisco Tostada has 18 touchdowns. Dan, La Habra, it's another game for the Highlanders. It's been a long season. Do they have enough to go on the road to beat this tough team?
Absolutely, but they're going on the road against an undefeated team, and this team is really difficult. I mean, they're, besides being undefeated, they had a big giant like Pac-5 type victory earlier in the year. They beat St. Bonaventure, which is a huge powerhouse in their area. So this is going to be a really tough game. It's one of the best regionals you can find in any of these 13 divisions this week. This is a big time game.
Meanwhile, Camarillo defender Wyatt Zamri has 16 sacks on the season. His job is to try and capture Eric Barrier. Good luck to him. Steve, does La Habra have another game or two in them? Because such an emotional game over San Clemente, it might be tough to get up for another one.
I think they can because, when you looked at those kids after the game, that team's got a lot of pride. It's a lot of community pride in La Habra. There's so many communities, so many football teams that are sort of like represent the community. San Clemente, you've got that big time. La Habra, you got that big time. You go to a La Habra game, there's people in the stands that never had kids in the program, but they still go to the games. You don't see that at too many places. So I think that they can crank it up again. And Mazzotta was saying, you know what, I love the fact that Frank was saying, he says, I love the fact that I can get to be with these great kids at least one more week. And the kids get to practice and do all that stuff. So I think they probably got a little bit of hunger left. Sure.
Yeah, there's tons of chemistry on that team. We'll transition now to the Division IV AA regional game, which will be Canyon taking on Bonita Vista, and this is at Southwestern Community College in Chula Vista, Friday night, 7:30 start. Dan, Canyon defeated Brea Linda 31-21 for the Southern Division Championship, and this really struck me when reading the recap. Canyon had no points in the first half, and here they are scoring 31 in the second.
Charlie Trainer played well, over 100 yards rushing, and they got some clutch plays in the fourth quarter. And I think Canyon's got a real good shot, to make that long trip and get a victory.
Okay. Yeah, it was a total team effort for Canyon. They had 2 interceptions brought back for touchdowns, guys, and a kickoff return scoring a touchdown. So all-around team effort. Steve, your thoughts on Canyon's first ever CIF championship victory and the season they had?
I think that Dan taught me something about 2 weeks ago when we were talking about Canyon, and Dan said, look at Canyon's players and their schedule and all that. That's a higher division team than a Southern Division team should be. They could probably have been in that Southwest Division and competed, rather well. I don't know if they'd get to the finals, but they certainly would win a game or two and definitely give everybody a good push. So, not surprising perhaps that Canyon did get it going. It's an interesting thing at Canyon because they've had some coaching changes. All those kids have endured a few. That's a long trip, though. I mean, 110 miles going south on a Friday. Gosh, man, what are they going to leave at 1 o'clock or something? That's a tough trip.
You probably do, and that's Bonita Vista. They beat Mission Bay 52-14 to capture the Division III San Diego section title. Dan, Bonita averages 213 rushing yards per game. Greg Bell has 30 rushing touchdowns on the season. One of Bonita Vista's losses actually was to Helix, who plays Mission Viejo, so there's that.
Yeah, I saw that score, and and when I thought about that, when I saw that Helix opponent for this team, is I thought about Canyon, who they played up. Helix is the open division champion who's playing Mission Viejo, so they played way up, and that's what Canyon did twice this year when they played Edison and they played San Juan Hills, and I've talked to Coach Ogus a few times about that decision. You think that really paid off, and then when you combine that with what they played in the North Hills League and the Crestview teams, I mean I'm sure they probably played a tougher, closer games than this opponent coming up. So they're battle tested, and they have that big three of Hobbs, Trainer, and Harmon. I mean, they got some players there. They're really good, Canyon.
Division 5A, finally, guys. This is the last one we'll talk about in the regional game. It'll be Kennedy of Delano taking on Saddleback Valley Christian. This is a home game for SVC, but we still don't know where it is. Oh, actually, maybe
Laguna Hills.
Laguna Hills. Okay,
correct.
Breaking news.
Nice field.
Yeah, it is. Saturday night, 7:30. SVC won the East Valley Championship via forfeit over Grace Brethren. I think in the record books it goes down as a 2-0 win. I guess I'll get your guys' thoughts on that before we preview the game against Kennedy.
I talked to Coach Brendan Chambers today, the SVC coach, And those, it was twofold for them. They're bummed the kids are bummed that they didn't get to play in the finals, because that's a once in a lifetime chance to play in a CIF final, one of the most exciting games of their life. But the good thing is that they have potentially 2 more games to make some more memories, and they also get a bye week to get healthy. They have a couple guys nicked up.
Congratulations, you're champions,
Yeah,
but forfeits
sure.
are kind of a bummer, Steve.
Yeah, I don't like it because, whatever happened, there was an ineligible player at Grace Brethren of Simi Valley. There's a bunch of kids on that Grace Brethren team who did everything right, especially the seniors. They did everything right to get to the championship game. And because somebody else did something wrong, all those kids who did everything right got punished. But there's no other way to do it, is there, Dan?
Yeah. One of the news that came out today is, I guess, the Grace Brethren athletic director is no longer in that position anymore. So, that came out just today, and this all happened on Friday. So it's probably no coincidence there that there was a problem there.
All right, well, we'll talk about the game against Kennedy now. The Thunderbirds averaged 373 rushing yards per game. David Zepeda and Rafael Martinez have 32 rushing touchdowns between them. SVC winning by forfeit to win that CIF championship. I'll throw it to you, Steve. So they didn't get that big moment in that CIF championship game. I'm thinking they're going to be geared up for this one then.
Agree, 100%. And that team scores a ton. What are they averaging, like 47 points a game or something like that? And by the way, wouldn't it have been fun if Brethren Christian would have got in there, because they're averaging about 48 points a game? Oh, my gosh. That would have been like 60 basketball score there. But, yeah, I think you're correct. I agree with you 100%. The Saddleback Valley Christian, okay, this is our moment. We didn't get it. We didn't get the chance to get in that ring that time, but let's hop in that ring and give it the best fight that we can. I bet they're going to be primed and ready to rock.
Yeah, especially if it's a home game, Dan.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what Coach Chambers says. They want to prove that they are a legit team, that they deserve. They're a great team, and they deserve to be in this kind of game. And they didn't. They don't want to be just defined by we're the team that got in by the forfeit. Yeah. They want to show that they're about a lot more than the forfeit, and they're gonna come out and play hard, and I think that's a big advantage for them.
Yep, I think so too. All right, thanks to Dan Albano and Steve Fryer. I'm Jonathan Khamis, and for all your latest football updates this weekend, check out OCVarsity.com, where we've got you covered.